Live from our 7 Tasmania studios, your nightly news with Kim Miller begins now.
Well, Labor claims it's won the Tasmanian forestry industry back, unveiling its policies side by side with workers and sawmillers. It doesn't offer any extra jobs or logs, according to the Liberals, but for the Greens, it's all the same.
Flanked by the forestry industry and counting on them to return to power.
What we have here today is the entire industry standing behind Labor. Labor has listened to the concerns of the industry.
Unveiling a plan to prioritise Tasmanian businesses in log supply, extending contracts out to 2040 and pouring $5 million into processing opportunities.
To have solidarity in the industry around this policy is really important to us.
Making sure that we don't return to the forest wars, which seems to be the Liberal Party's ambition.
It follows the industry accusing the Liberals of using it as a political football. It's unclear what Labor would do with the 27,000 hectares of future potential production forests that caused the stir.
There's not one log, not one job. This won't deliver for Tasmania or the forest industry.
We have both the Liberal and Labor politicians wanting to go in and continue logging native forests until 2040. It's almost as if they didn't know about the climate crisis.
On Island Time today, the Premier enjoyed the King Island show before turning his attention to the booming population.
We're ensuring that we can attract professionals here, attract business people here, attract teachers and nurses.
A $1.2 million grant to unlock large-scale subdivisions for accommodation, also funding another port expansion study. New polling numbers from Redbridge suggest that the major parties are on the nose, with a crossbench potentially as large as 10 MPs. The Liberals, who received 33% support, launched a stinging attack on the Jackie Lambie network, calling for clarity on their stadium stance.
Miss Lambie is now trying to walk both sides of the street. You just don't know what their policies are.
It's what broke their party. So we're adults in the Jackie Lambie network. Like I said, we can have our own opinions.
Facing questions about policies, they say they're focused on issues.
Cost of living is one major one. Our health system is completely broken. How about Dean concentrate on some of those things?
Tasmanians to decide if they're a credible alternative in just 18 days. Josh Duggan, 7 Tasmania News.
The Liberals say they'll hire 51 new paramedics in the next 2 years and 27 community paramedics if re-elected. Guy Barnett making the promise today, along with a $6 million investment in the Royal Flying Doctors Northern Hub,
which will have greater operational space, enhanced patient facilities, crew rooms.
Full-time paramedics, they'll be based primarily in those high demand areas of Hobart and Launceston and the West Tamar, likewise in some of those outlying areas.
They'll also fund 4 new ambulance stations. Labor has promised 88 paramedics in the next year and another 80 by 2032. While the Greens want to employ 120 more nurses every year.
It's almost impossible for people to get an ambulance without waiting for hours or a hospital bed. And people who need serious and important surgery are waiting years.
They would employ the extra nurses in discharge, navigating and coaching roles. A grieving father who lost his daughter in a senseless crash more than a decade ago is teaming up with Tasmanian councils ahead of National Road Safety Week. Named after the 23-year-old, it's hoped the Sarah program will help prevent similar tragedies.
It's the devastating missed phone call that changed the course of Peter Fraser's life. In November 2012, his daughter Sarah was stranded after a car breakdown on the Hume Highway.
She called and said, "Dad, there are cars and trucks passing just centimetres away from me. I'm afraid I could get killed here."
Just moments later, the unthinkable. Sarah was hit and killed by a distracted truck driver. The 23-year-old's preventable death sparking a decade-long crusade.
So if you needed a reason to be out there to try and make a change for road safety in this country, I had the ultimate reason.
Sarah lending her name and favourite colour to an organisation dedicated to safer Australian roads and highways. The group teaming up with its first Tasmanian council ahead of National Road Safety Week.
I always say that councils are the most important because that's where the rubber hits the road.
Launceston City Council eager to climb on board and show its support.
And it completely aligns with our values here at the City of Launceston, one of those values being we get home safe.
Yellow ribbons will adorn council vehicles, a moving billboard to remind us all to take more care.
And it's around the awareness and around the conversation, further conversations not just with the community but the other tiers of government.
National Road Safety Week runs from May 5. Annie Green, 7 Tasmania News.
The first of many International Women's Day events has kicked off, but with a significant gender pay gap still looming over the country, advocates say there's still a long way to go.
An early Women's Day celebration. Hundreds turning out to hear from Dress for Success CEO Amanda French at Hobart's Town Hall. The group, one of many, aiming to eliminate the financial and social barriers that women face when trying to gain employment.
How they look and present can often be one of those barriers. With increasing cost of living pressures, the ability to afford new clothes to go to interview or to start a new job is just beyond some women.
The event hoping to inspire all, with men and women from parks and gardens to arts and events at today's Q&A.
Reflecting on the achievements of women in our own organisation and across the community more broadly.
But it's not all celebrations. The latest statistics from the Workplace Gender Equality Act revealing a 21.7% gender pay gap nationally.
Particularly something that I took notice of is that 26% of our boards across Australia still do not have representation from women, and that's just not good enough.
International Women's Day falls on Friday this year, with events spread across the state to celebrate the day, inspiring the current and next generation of women to aim high.
You can't be what you can't see, and it's really important for women to see other women in positions of leadership and senior roles in the community.
Ruby Cairns, 7 Tasmania News.
Local footy action is almost back, with this year's NTFA Women's Curtain Raiser preparing to take on a little extra meaning. Teams will leave rivalry on the sidelines, coming together for a common cause to help families away from the field.
Adding more meaning to the 2024 NTFAW season opener. This year's Women's Gala Day will support the Launceston Benevolent Society.
Acknowledging women in sport. It's also acknowledging the fact that people need to eat.
Teaming up for a new partnership off the field, the Curtain Raiser Games are hoping to raise $20,000, helping provide emergency relief to northern families in need.
$20,000 would be amazing. It would actually help us feed up to 200 families.
It's really important to support the Benevolent Society. They're a great charity that services Launceston.
The fundraising efforts an extra driving factor for players keen to return to form and play for a greater cause.
It's so great that we are supporting a charity, especially one that supports women in difficult situations, and especially because football is such a community-driven sport.
This year's Premier and Division 1 sides will pack their boots and head to Scottsdale. The Pies' dual home grounds picked to host a bumper day of footy action.
That's the best part about it. All the teams are there, so you can, mingle and watch the other games.
The grounds, they're virtually side by side, so you could sit in between the grounds and sort of turn around and watch one game and turn around and watch the other game.
Kicking goals for charity. Victoria Easto, 7 Tasmania News.
After a 6-day gruelling trek across the north and northeast, Pedal Cure for Fight MMD riders have crossed the finishing line. The 130-strong group travelling from Devonport to Swansea, and so far raising more than $634,000 for motor neurone disease. The charity ride upped their fundraising goal after smashing the original $350,000 target, and with more donations still trickling in, the group expects to reach the $700,000 mark. 5 local distillers are in high spirits, preparing to showcase their whiskies on the world stage. Ireland's Cork Festival will feature a dedicated Tasmanian section to give attendees a taste of our region.
Toasting drams to a dream come true. These Tasmanian distillers, unable to bottle their excitement, bound for Ireland's Cork Whisky Festival later this month.
They can pick any Irish distillery they want, and they asked for one from here in Tasmania. We're also going over, we've got transportation whisky, of course, Kalara, Belgrove, Spring Bay and Hobart Whiskey.
56 other creators also invited to the 3-day event, which will feature an exclusive Tasmanian tasting section.
We get to talk more intimately with a group of people about Tasmania, about our produce, about how we make our whiskey down here.
We've got a distillery industry that uses the best, cleanest, most beautiful products in the world.
Their finest pours packed for the occasion.
I'm taking over one of my oldest releases. It's only just newly released. It's a 6-year-old whiskey that's been matured in a 100-litre ex-Sepultsfield tawny cask.
I use oats and rye, and the old traditional Irish whiskies way back used a lot of oats.
Tasmanians can also sample the spirits with a tasting planned at Hobart's Mach 1 Hotel next week before the group jets off. Brianna Boylan, 7 Tasmania News.
It seems the Jack Jumpers' injury prayers may be answered in time for the first playoff against Perth. The best of 3 series begins with a flight west, where the Wildcats have resorted to a full internal practice game to stay match fit, having not played since mid-February. Scott Roth's mantra is to train every day like it's final, so today's session is just like any other. And when you're on a 5-game winning streak, why change?
What we've been doing has been working, so we'll try and stick with that formula.
The Wildcats haven't played since the last round of regular season, a 14-point loss to the Jackies, but that was without Bryce Cotton. And you can be sure the 4-time MVP will return with a vengeance.
We'll for sure have some schemes and stuff we can do to get after him, but yeah, Bryce is definitely a tough cover, and yeah, we'll see.
Whether or not Marcus Lee flies to Perth is still in the hands of the team physio, but training today with a heavily strapped shoulder is a good sign. That call will likely be made tomorrow.
He's tracking well and we're optimistic about it, so we were lucky that it wasn't a bad shoulder injury, and seems to be in a good spot.
Either way, the team's proven they can and will step up.
Yeah, we have a lot of weapons on the offensive end, so yeah, any one of us could show up and yeah, go crazy.
Getting a win in the West will come down to getting the small things right, something the Jackies perfected late in the season.
Being able to take care of the ball in that building and then hopefully put some pressure on them, and then secondly the rebounding. They live off energy and momentum plays, so our ability to control the glass and control the possession game, 2 massive factors.
The AFL Tribunal is right now deliberating after Tasmanian St Kilda veteran Jimmy Webster's marathon 90-minute-long hearing over his brutal bump on North Melbourne captain Jai Simpkin. The AFL is seeking an 8-week ban, which club representatives have labelled excessive and disproportionate. It comes as the Roos confirm Simpkin will miss round 1 against the Giants. Next week's AWC Race Tasmania will be the grand return to Aussie Trans Am racing for 2-time series winner Nathan Hearn. He knows the Symmons Plains circuit well, having taken a podium finish in every start there. But Hearn's going out on his own this time, putting together a private team and pulling his trusty Dodge Charger out of retirement at the Bathurst Racing Museum.
I thought, it's not going to be too hard to do. I'll get it torn to bits and rebuild it and we'll be fine from there, but it's been a big 2 weeks. I just want to be racing against the best there is, so there's no really better place to be doing it than in Trans Am Tasmania.
He's coming off a successful stint in the USA's TA2 series.
Good evening. Fine around the state again today. Hobart 24, Launceston 23, Devonport 21 and Burnie 20. King Island our top with 26 degrees. Ouse reached 25, Flinders Island and Friendly Beaches 24, Smithton Grove and Strawn 23, Low Head and St Helens 21. Lyawini -1 again overnight to a high of 20 today. Some daytime temperatures up to 5 degrees above average, but nighttime temperatures have been up to 5 degrees below average. Patchy low cloud sat over the northwest today as high cloud moved over from the west. No rain in the gauges for the past 31 hours. Meanwhile, isolated thunderstorms are over most of the northern half of Australia. Low-level cloud over the southern coast of WA and near the Queensland-New South Wales border. Tomorrow, a cold front brushes our south coast. Not much in that though. High-pressure systems lie to the east and west, split by all the troughs. 15 to 25 knot west-northwesterly winds for us tomorrow, reaching 30 knots in the south ahead of a southwest change later in the day. We do have a strong wind warning. That's for waters between Wineglass Bay and Low Rocky Point. So the sunshine continues tomorrow. Hobart 26, same for Bothwell. Geeveston, partly cloudy, 25 the top. Launceston 29 tomorrow, 26 for Devonport, Cressy 30, all sunny there in the north. In the northwest, mostly sunny for Burnie, 25, a 50% chance of a shower for Strawn, 21 the maximum, 22 the top for Curry. And fine down the east coast. St Helens 29, 28 for Orford, sunny in Swansea 27. On Thursday, a fine partly cloudy day after a possible morning fog patch or two inland. Friday, fine right across the state, Launceston 28, and it rolls on again into the weekend. A rise in temperatures though, Hobart, Launceston, Swansea and Strahan all expecting 30 plus. A sunny 33 in Perth and Adelaide tomorrow, partly cloudy and 27 in Melbourne. Sunny and warm weather for Canberra, Sydney and Brisbane. Little cloudy in Hobart, it's 18, 20 right now in Launceston, 18 in Devonport. Kim, bit worried about how dry it is out there. Today I saw a couple of dogs marking out their territory in chalk.
Nice one. Thank you, Merv. That is all your news for now. Stay with us. Home and Away is up next. Good night, everyone.